What do you think? I'm like testing out bangs. So I'm like doing like a deep side part.
I kind of like the bang on you.
You do?
I do. And like you're so close by. I'm in Chelsea. You're in the West Village. We like, I should have just walked to your house,
Come
Carole.
over. These Zooms are a little nuts, right? Like I can see what people, I don't do many of them because I don't have a corporate job that requires me to be in Zoom meetings all day. But I could see why people can get like very like picky about like their hair and what they look like, right?
I
So
have
staring at yourself all.
Well, I have a friend who's a plastic surgeon, and she said that her practice has like it's gone out of control because of Zooms. She's like, and I'm like, I look at there's no good angle. I don't know. I look at myself in a Zoom and I'm like, I look better right now in real life. I'm sorry. Like it's a bad angle.
Yeah. I'm thinking, I'm gonna like talk like kind of like three quarter. Three quarter is the best pose. You know, when you're taking a photo.
Totally.
Like straight on, it's terrible. And like profile, not good. Three quarter is the good pose. You know who taught me that? Barbara Walters.
Really?
Notice in all of Barbara's promo photos and everything, she's always like, it's a 3/4 turn. She was a genius.
Barbara Walters was a genius. Have you talked to her? I mean, she's home and I don't think she's well, right?
Yes, I don't think so. God, I haven't seen her in many years. When she must be in her 90s now though. Can you hear them? I'm sorry, I have NPR rolling in the background and I forgot, let me turn it off. It's like, my background noise. So,
well, first of all, the fact that you have NPR in the background is so on brand for what I would think you would have in the background. So that doesn't shock me.
No.
and a Barbara Walter reference with like within the first 5 minutes. So far you're exactly on brand, Carole.
Well, I'll mess that up. Let's talk about I don't know, The Bachelor.
Well, no, here's the thing. I just wanted to say, like, I mean, you're really good friends with Heather Thompson. I've had her on. I've had Fran Drescher on. You are. See, here's the thing. I have Stockholm syndrome. The more
you have all the housewives on,
except Carole Radziwill, you have played hard to get. And the more you played hard to get, the more I have wanted you. Like I have that gene. This is why I'm a single gay man in New York City. The more that you elude me preying on you, the harder, like the more I want you. So.
I don't know. I don't do many of these because I'll tell you, to be honest, I enjoy talk. I mean, listen, I can talk and talk and talk. I enjoy talking and I can talk about my experience on Real Housewives and, to the cows come home. Like I always can analyze it and in different ways and depending on the year. And, but I find that with podcasts, it's great. We can talk for an hour. We'll have the best conversation. It'll be funny. It'll be a lot of topics. And then it'll be something shade, or what do they say, shady about the housewives. And then that becomes a headline in all these like blog, not even real press, like blogs, right? Or maybe you get actually picked up in like Us Weekly and stuff. So it has the effect of, and this kind of backfired on Heather, it has the effect of looking like you're talking to the press. It's like, I'm not talking to the press. I'm not talking to other publications. They're just they're using your podcast and repurposing it for their headlines. So it's always like, you do some great fun interview and then it gets picked apart, taken out of context and reprinted in blogs and various tabloids. And it ruins it for me.
Well, no, like as a journalist, like, you know how it is, like because I've had people call me and I'm like, sweetie, the quote's not wrong. That's in People magazine. I mean, first of all, but yeah, the headline, I mean, I didn't choose the headline. Why are you calling me? I'm not People. It's the headline. They really definitely.
It's clickbait, right? It's just like, and housewives are so good for clickbait, because and I'm including myself, there's always some whack thing that comes out of their mouths. So it's like, wait, what did she say? So I get it. So anyway, so I don't like to do a lot of this. And I think it backfired on Heather a little bit because when Heather and I did her podcast, on her own podcast, of course we talked about Housewives. We reminisced. I was on it for 6 years. She was on it for 3. It's a part of my story for sure, part of hers. And, we loved reminiscing and laughing and talking about everything. And then of course they take something that Heather actually didn't say about Luann and make it a headline to make it appear like we had been talking about something that we weren't. And then of course she goes on the show and it sort of then becomes this crazy conversation about Heather talking to the press about all of them. And it's like, wait a minute. And I don't think Heather was even prepared for that because at no point did she say, what are you talking about? I'm not talking to the press. I'm talking on my own podcast with my friend Carole, talking about our own experience on RHONY. But it gets so diluted. So by the time it got to Heather being on that show, which is one of the reasons I told her to not do it, everything gets turned upside down.
I told her when she was here, I was like, was any part of you saying like, this is great advertisement for, the Heather Thompson podcast in my heart? And she's like, it's on a national.
I mean, I guess it wasn't. Was it in a way I did, I'm sure it was.
They mentioned her podcast over and over and over. I'm like, Heather, just go with this.
Yeah, it's true. But they turned it into then like, to be honest, I've never watched the show. I feel like I see the show because it's so much on social media. But I don't watch the episodes, but I did watch the episodes Heather was on because I was just concerned, obviously, because she's a friend. And I thought she was going into it with her like, kind of like rose-colored season 6 eyeglasses, like where she didn't realize that the show had changed a lot and that it wasn't what she had left behind. And sure enough, it was. But like for her to sit there and have them all like reprimand her for talking to the press, it's like, bitch, Luann spent 2 years going around the country trashing me, trashing Heather and her cabaret show. I was like, how could you not have said that, Heather? How could you listen to Luann reprimanding you when she literally made a career, including a song, out of trashing us? It's just like, it's the funny kind of like delusion that the housewives, live in. They're completely no self-awareness. It's like, yeah. I told the truth about some experience I had 6 years ago, unlike your cabaret show, where she just goes on and on and on about all this bullshit. So anyway.
Who do you think, just because you brought it up, who do you think is the most not self-aware?
Oh, that's it. I really think that, Luann is up there and that she's not. But Ramona, they all are, but it's so hard for me because I feel like a lot of it's an act and I can't separate the act from the real, complete unself-awareness. But yeah, I think that's a prerequisite. I would say across the board, the housewives that are on the shows and get the headlines and become like the stars are completely unself-aware. It's like, you have to be in order to be playing at that level. Like I think across the franchise, I'm not just saying in New York.